Gather round and welcome to the Week 9 Predictor Show. And let me tell you, folks, it's burr outside today in Ohio, but it's smoking hot here with these picks going into Week 9. Last week, oh man, we went 10 for 11. Or 10 and 11 in our 21 picks. Man, we got burnt on some of these over-unders by half a point, and it was just really painful to look at and watch. But we're going to do much better this week. We're going to get back to that 60-70% that we were working on earlier this year. So let's get to it here. We're going to start. Let's start here with UCLA at Indiana, and we got the Bruins on a little win streak here, 3 in a row, but I don't think they're going to be able to beat the Hoosiers in Bloomington this week, and we got Indiana giving 25.5 points here, and we got an over-under at 54.5, and here's how I'm going to play this bet. I'm going to take UCLA in the 25.5 on the road. I think UCLA will be able to score at least 14 to 17 points in this football game, and I'm looking at roughly around 40 points here for Indiana in this football game. So I'm going to take the 25.5 points in the UCLA Bruins, and I'm going to put this over 54.5. That's right, over 54.5 in this UCLA at Indiana game. The next game on the docket here for me is Ole Miss on the road at Oklahoma. Oklahoma giving 4.5 to Ole Miss. We got an over-under at 54.5. And I'm going to play this thing. I'm going to play this a little different here. I'm going to give you Oklahoma in the money line on this, but I'm going to give you an alternative spread bet later in this in a 5-game parlay that I worked up that's going to pay a big-time money that's going to hit. And we're going to take the under on this game at 54.5. I think Oklahoma's defense is better than Georgia's. I think they'll be able to hold Ole Miss down to less points than they scored last week. I don't know about the 4.5 in Ole Miss, so I'm going to go ahead and take Oklahoma in the money line, and I'm going to take the under 54.5 in this game. And just hold on just a second, because I'll give you that 5-game parlay pick here in just a few minutes. We got Illinois traveling to Washington, and we all know about the Big Ten teams going east to west. We got Washington giving 4.5 in this football game, and we got a 55.5 over-under on this. And in this particular bet, I'm going to stay away from the over-under. I'm not exactly sure. I think this game is right on that 55 mark. It's pretty damn close, but I'm going to take Illinois in the 4.5 here in this particular football game. So Illinois in 4.5 on the road at Washington is the bet for me. We got Alabama traveling to South Carolina. Alabama giving 12.5 points here on the road. We got an over-under of 47.5. Lenora Sellers is just getting worse by the week. I don't have a lot of faith in South Carolina, even though they're playing at home in this football game. I'm going to go ahead and take Alabama minus the 12.5, and I'm going to put this game under 47.5 points here. That's right. I don't think South Carolina is going to be able to score much. I'm going to go under 47.5. I'm looking at this game around 31 to 10 kind of game here between Alabama and South Carolina. All right, we're going to go to BYU at Iowa State. Iowa State giving 2.5 to BYU at home. We got an over-under of 48.5 in this football game. And I like the Cougars. We got the Cougars, the Tigers, and the Bears here. That's right, we got the Bear and the Tiger working their way for BYU. And I'm going to take BYU in the 2.5 points in this football game. And I'm going to put this at under 48.5. That's right, under 48.5. So BYU plus the 2.5 and an under 48.5. We have another SEC matchup, and this might be the biggest matchup of the weekend for this conference. And I see Missouri going into Vanderbilt. We got a minus 2.5 for Vanderbilt. and we got it over-under at 52.5 in this football game. And I'm going to stay away from -2.5 in Vanderbilt, but I'm going to take Vanderbilt in the money line in this football game. I think it's going to be a squeaker here. Maybe like a 1-point game, 2 points at the most. 2.5 might just be slightly too many. So I'm going to take Vandy in the money line, and I'm going to put this game over to 52.5. That's right, the over. I think both these teams are going to be able to score some points. So let's go Vandy in the money line and over 52.5. Another SEC game this week, folks, and we got Texas A&M traveling into LSU. LSU getting points at home. It's unheard of, but here we are, and I like Texas A&M to win this football game on the money line. We got a 47.5 over-under in this football game, and I think this game is going over. I think Marcel Reed is going to be able to take advantage of LSU's defense, and I think this game is going to be a decently, I think this is going to be like low 30 to middle 20s type of game. Kind of what we saw last week in the Vanderbilt LSU game, but I like this game to go over the 52.5, and I like Texas A&M in the money line here. I don't want to give any points to LSU at home. That just seems to be outrageous. All right. Another SEC game that's kind of interesting. Not a big game. Most people won't watch it, but we got Tennessee traveling to Kentucky. Kentucky getting 7.5 at home. We got it over-under at 53.5. And look, Tennessee coming off the loss at Alabama, they're going to be pissed off. And, you know, Kentucky played Texas, pretty tight, but in kind of an ugly fashion. And I just don't think Kentucky's going to have anything to hold back to here with Tennessee. So I'm going to do Tennessee minus the 7.5 here and under the 53.5. So Tennessee giving up the 7.5 and a 53.5 over-under here in this football game. All right, the last SEC game we're going to pick, which, again, not many people are going to watch this football game, but still an interesting one. We got Texas on the road at Mississippi State. Can Arch Manning get a road win here, a true road win on the road against the Bulldogs? We got Mississippi State getting 6.5 at home. We've got an over-under at 44.5. And the way I'm looking at this game, folks, is I'm going to take Mississippi State plus the 6.5 here in this bet, and I'm going to take the under 44.5. I don't know that Arch Manning is going to be any better than he's been in the last couple weeks, which is average at best. And Mississippi State's a hit or miss kind of team, but it's going to be an electric atmosphere just because Texas is coming in and it's a name brand, and they're going to have those cowbells just a rocking and rolling. So I'm going to take Mississippi State plus the 6.5, and I'm going to go the under 44.5. The last game we're going to pick here in the picks is South Florida at Memphis. Memphis is getting 5.5 at home. Memphis coming off that loss against UAB. They're going to be angry. And we got an over-under at 62.5. But the truth of the matter is, I just think South Florida is just a little bit better than Memphis is right now, even though they're on the road. But I'm not going to give those points up. I'm going to take the money line in USF in this football game, and I'm going to put this thing over 62.5. I think both teams are going to get into the 30s in this football game, and maybe even touch and eclipse the 40s here. So I'm going to take USF in the money line, and I'm going to take the over 62.5. We got a 5-leg parlay here that I just think is just absolutely great. This is an alternative spread parlay, folks. That's right, I bumped the lines up or down from where they are in the bookies, and I like the way this is going to play out. This thing's going to be at plus 961. That's right. You bet a $10 bet, you're going to win $96 and get your $10 back. So this is going to be a really hot bet on a cold day here in Ohio. But I like it starting like this. We got Cal on the road at Virginia Tech. I'm going to take this line and I'm going to bump this thing up from the 4.5 that Cal's getting at home or on the road, and I'm going to take Cal plus 7.5. That's going to be at a minus 162. I'm going to put the second leg of this parlay, Bowling Green on the road at Kent State. Bowling Green given 7.5 points here on the normal line, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bump this down. I don't think Kent State's a very good football team, but for some reason I feel like they may play a little better than they have against Bowling Green this week. But I'm going to boom this down to Bowling Green minus 4.5 in this football game at minus 166. That's right. So Bowling Green minus 4.5 on the road at Kent State for a minus 166. The third leg of this parlay, I've already told you earlier, I was going to take Ole Miss and Oklahoma in the money line and not mess around with the 4.5 that Oklahoma was giving. But in this bet, I'm going to bump this 4.5 up to 7.5, and I'm going to take Ole Miss and 7.5 on the road at Oklahoma. That's playing right now at minus 164. So that'll be the third leg of the 5-leg parlay. So I'm taking Ole Miss plus the 7.5 on the road at Oklahoma. Another game on the road, we got Illinois traveling to Washington. Illinois is getting points. What were they getting? Illinois was getting 4.5 on the regular line. I'm going to bump this thing to 7.5 on the road at Washington. That's going to be a minus 172. So Illinois plus 7.5 at Washington at a minus 172 will be leg number 4. And the final leg of this is going to be Minnesota on the road at Iowa. I think it's 7.5 on the normal line. I'm bumping this thing to 12.5 at minus 164. So we got Minnesota plus the 12.5 at Iowa. This is a 5-leg parlay that's going to pay plus 961. So I think it's a smoking hot play, and I think we got a winner chicken dinner here on this 5-leg parlay. In the last parlay that I'm looking at here in week number 9, this is going to be at plus 588. It's a 3-legger, and we got the Pitt Panthers hosting North Carolina State. Pitt is giving 6.5 points in this game, and I like the Panthers giving the points here against North Carolina State. So I like Pitt minus 6.5 here in this play. I got the second leg of Oregon minus 32.5 against Wisconsin. We got Wisconsin coming off back-to-back shutouts. Can they get shut out 3 weeks in a row? I don't know. Maybe they'll score 3. Maybe they'll score 6. But the truth of the matter is Oregon's going to beat them by more than 32.5. We had the Buckeyes beat them by 34. We had Iowa beat them by 38. So we got a really nice point spread here, minus 32.5 with Oregon playing at home, Wisconsin traveling across the country just after a dismal 2 weeks. I don't expect it to get any better here. So let's go with Oregon minus 32.5. And the final play on this 3-leg parlay is going to be the Mustangs of SMU going into Wake Forest. SMU giving minus 2.5. So I'm going to go ahead and give those 2.5 to Wake Forest. And we're going to take SMU minus 2.5. Again, that's a 3-leg parlay. That's paying plus 588 here. I'm having a hard time with my P's today, folks. You might not see it because it'll be in the edit. But anyways, I've been peeing all over myself with my P's. So plus 558 here on the 3-leg parlay. So I like, again, Pitt minus 6.5 against North Carolina State. I like Oregon minus the 32.5 against Wisconsin. And I like SMU minus the 2.5 against Wake Forest. So there we are, folks. We're going to have a hot weekend, even though it's going to be chilly here in Ohio and in the Midwest. But that's what we're doing here. So remember, gather around in ALTT. We'll see you Sunday. 5 thoughts on this week in college football released on Sundays. It's going to be an exciting week, and I have a lot to say about all that. So see you soon.